Radio Room, huge hit for you guys, and I know it's. I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight, of course, but I think for a while there was a lot of thought that people were going out on a limb and really creating something new and special.
Well,
and it's really paid off.
I have to say this, and I picked on Igor about it when we were just at. And yes, guys, his name is Igor.
And he is whom, for those that...
Igor Zavosky is the managing director of Vostok Europe. He is the brainchild behind these watches that you see bring here. But I will take the credit. I'm happy to, especially now that it's been so successful. For the Radio Room. This was my idea. I had to convince Igor to do it. He was reluctant. He thought it was going to be a little too unusual. And I told him, I'm like, no, Igor, when they hear this story, when they see what the inspiration is, when they know we're doing this on the 100th anniversary of the Radio Room Act, and with what I know you guys can come up collaborating with us, which will be really cool designs, this is going to be successful, and it has. We've sold hundreds of them. You saw that this has a solid 4.5 stars reviews, which is not easy to get on Shop NBC because there's always somebody who doesn't like the watch. To get a solid 4.5 to 5 stars means you've got a ton of people who are loving this watch. I get huge feedback. Let me quickly, I love talking about this watch. I want to quickly go through the story, Tim, before we get, I've got my clock here.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you guys what this is all about. This is the Radio Room clock that I've got in front of me. This came from an actual decommissioned Russian ship. Now, this was the inspiration for the watch, and one of the ones we have tonight, this is the first chance Tim has had to present these two models. One of them is very true to the clock, which we did by popular demand because people said, please do one more true to the clock.
This is the one I'm wearing.
Which is the one Tim is wearing. The Radio Room Act of 1912, let me quickly run through this. When the Titanic went down, part of the problem was that the guys in the radio room couldn't get through with all the other traffic on the radio. After the Titanic went down, the Radio Room Act was enacted by the International Maritime Commission, and it did two major things. One is it created a 24-hour watch system for all radio rooms. The other was it created these 3 minutes of radio silence in every 15-minute period on the clock. So where you see those wedges, those are not just decorative, they actually have a function. And what it is when in the radio room, when they get into that wedge period, you can't do anything on the radio, no radio traffic that isn't emergency flash traffic or SOS. And they created that so that at least on the beginning was actually, to be accurate, it was 2 periods, one every 30 minutes. And then later they updated it so that in every 15-minute period, there's at least 3 minutes where that's all you can do. So that's the inspiration for this watch. Now you're going to ask me, why the heck did you do that in a Russian watch? Why, oh, by the way, we did the full wedge loom on this, and I love it. And I've got the dial, and I do want to show the dial. I have so much to talk about on these watches, but we'll get back to that in a minute. I want to quickly explain why we did this in a Russian execution. You're looking at this clock. The movement in this clock is made by the same company that makes the movement that's in this watch. This was one of those instances where I insisted to Igor, because remember what I said earlier, they can only build, with the Vostok movements, they can only build 5 pieces a day per watchmaker, and they have 4 watchmakers. This is the definition of boutique. So when I say to Igor that I'm absolutely insisting that I want a Vostok movement, he's like, okay, I'll do it, but you know it's going to make it more expensive. It's going to take us longer to build them. But I could not build a watch that's an homage to a Russian ship clock that didn't have the Russian movement in it. So that's what this is all about. This is a miniature on your wrist. You're wearing the clock from the Russian ships, and that's the whole idea. And I'm going to take a breath and let Tim talk about it for a minute.
Well, one of the things that's immediately striking here to me, I guess, I suppose to state the obvious, is the collectability that has been immediately created, put together, if you will. It's kind of compacted with this particular incarnation.
I'm going to give you the dial.
Because of the, in fact, let me show you the dial, because it's the combination of the radio room being combined with the proprietary engine, and the fact that I'm going to keep coming back to this because to me it's one of the keys of doing a show as we're doing for you guys tonight. You are looking at the genuine Russian and Lithuanian production, not something that's inspired by or kind of looks like. This is the real thing. And by the way, may I say, the loom you guys created on this is spectacular.
It rocks. Now, just to be clear, Because somebody else, I saw in one review, I think somebody was confused. The red and white does not have the full loom on the wedges. We only did that on the orange execution. I wanted to keep the red and white more true to the original clock, and we didn't do the full wedges. Now those arrows do have the loom, and it's a great loom on that, and we may even have a loom shot of that. But yes, Tim, to your point, this is a true Russian execution. By the way, it's also, you get an additional function on this. It's a dual time. Tim is rotating that exterior bezel, and tell me that doesn't feel like that's oil injected. I'm not saying it is, but dang, doesn't it feel like it? There's a beautiful job on that bezel. Using that third hand, well, fourth hand actually, but there's that additional hand that you see up there that has a different kind of shape to it. I'm not coming up with the word to describe it, but that hand in coordination with that external bezel gives you a secondary time zone. There's another radio room tonight. We'll have more to talk about. This is one of my favorite timepieces of all time. I'm wearing the orange. Do not miss an opportunity on this. Only 500 made for the world.